All right. Well, welcome to episode 8 of Behind the Boots podcast.
Hey.
Jon, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Behind the Boots. Jon and Bobby talking about life behind the boots in the military, right?
Yes, sir. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at BT Boots Podcast. It's also going to be posted right here. Every time. He's that good.
He is.
Who's that?
That's Big Dick Nick.
That is Big Dick Nick.
And Wilco Media Pro,
yes,
our
sir.
Production company.
Yep. You can find us on YouTube, Wilco Media, every Thursday at noon.
Every Thursday, fresh new episode dropping.
Yes, sir.
Right? Whole 7 episodes before this. Love it.
Yep.
Since all of you have been listening by now, right? You've already listened to 7 episodes. You know the premise of the podcast. We're in the swing of things. Mm-hmm. We talk about life as it was behind the boots in the military, what really happens in the military, what your servicemen and women go through on a daily basis. But more importantly...
The real reason why we miss serving.
more importantly, what they go through at nighttime when they're getting into trouble and then paying the man the next day.
Exactly.
Because of that, most predicaments that happen in the military outside of battle were usually alcohol-induced.
Yep.
So we'd like to do that for ourselves here on the show.
Yeah, have an alcohol-induced conversation.
And we do. And tonight's is brought to us by Jon. Jon picked up tonight's.
Yeah, well, I didn't make it.
Well, no, it's
I bought it at the store.
To us from you,
right.
But someone else made it for us.
And I figured, because I have been told that I have somewhat of a badonkadonk.
It's true.
This one, I'm also a simple man, lots of fun colors in here. It caught my eye. So I got us some Juicy Ass IPA by Flying Monkeys Craft Brewery, located in Ontario, Canada. Our brothers to the north.
To the Nord?
Yep. It says it's plump and unfiltered, and I'll tell you what, I agree.
It also says it's from the busy minds and happy hands of the Flying Monkeys. Enjoy Juicy Ass IPA. So I like it.
I'm enjoying it.
It is. It's very good.
Yep.
But awesome. Well, welcome back. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be recording episode 8. This is great.
We record once a week, but every week I feel gets longer. I miss this place when I'm not here.
You mean the time in between recording?
Yep. Yeah, I miss this place when I'm not here.
Yeah. Does it drive your week? Are you like, is this the day circled on the schedule?
Yeah,
on the calendar?
It's the thing I look forward to.
Like Nudie Magazine Day, you wake up and be like, it's recording day.
Yeah. Well, thanks to the iPhone, I mean, I have Nudie Magazine Day every day. But I only get this place once a week.
It's true. That's true. It's true. Well, how was your week?
Busy,
Busy? Typical?
Busy. Tips.
First full week, no glasses?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Roughly.
I don't know.
Ish. We look
Time
good.
flies.
You look good.
Stop it.
You look good.
Stop it.
Not great, but good.
You know what else isn't great and also not good?
That segue.
The Big Green Weenie.
Go on.
What would you define the Big Green Weenie as?
Well, it can be broken down into separate categories, right? Because if you're in the Air Force, it's the Big Blue Weenie. Or if in the Navy, it's the Big Navy.
Poseidon's dog.
Yeah. It's basically whatever jurisdiction you fall under, it's the man sticking it to you. And
correct.
You can never get away from it.
Exactly. So, it's definitely not Yoda's ding dong. That's for sure. But we're going to get into the Big Green Weenie for our first segment. So I, as I'm sure 100% of anyone else who's ever served, has been penetrated once or twice.
There might be one person, and it's the person that does the penetration.
It's the one who actually has the weenie.
Yes, there's someone out there who has to have it.
Because you, sir, are very well endowed.
It's the man.
Anywho. So I went on to Urban Dictionary. I love Urban Dictionary.
I do too.
And I wanted to know what the people would think, or what their definitions of the Big Green Weenie is. So a lot of it is Army and Marine Corps, because as you said, it's
service color branch based.
Exactly. We're simple beings like that.
Mm-hmm.
So first definition is anytime the Corps sticks it to you, the mythical Big Green Weenie was involved somehow, some way. It is an all-knowing force that can secure liberty, extend field day, cause an inspection, extend a mission, cause a pay issue, etc., etc. Marines specialize in drawing this creature on walls, notepads, each other's faces if passed out first, etc. The Big Green Weenie will get you. It is not an if, only a when. How many times and how bad will they be?
So it basically involves some sort of unpleasant experience forced upon you by your branch of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess the word would be unpleasant and unwanted.
Unsolicited,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's a big part of it.
Definitely a stark complaint.
Another one is when you get fucked without lube until your ass bleeds for a week by some jackass that is a fucking retard. Not their words, not mine. For not putting your paperwork in on time, causing you to get fucked out of re-enlistment. That one at the end sounds oddly specific.
I feel like he's not reaching, or her, she's not reaching for something.
Yeah. That is pinpoint something that happened to this person that wrote that.
But if you weren't able to re-enlist on time, that might actually be a blessing in disguise.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's
maybe take the hint.
Yeah, that's like karma, giving you a soft green weenie. Just right across the face.
Maybe civilian life isn't that bad.
Yeah. Try this out. Here you go. Yeah, try this out. The Big Green Weenie. Has it affected you ever?
I'm actually still going through a Big Green Weenie right now. I am.
Yeah.
As we speak right now, it's inside me.
That's not unpleasant.
I can feel it coming out, but it's still there.
Okay.
So being almost a year out now, I'd say about 4 months ago, I received a letter from my old command saying that they were going to charge me
for a whoopee.
It was weird.
Didn't turn it in.
Charge me for a special toolkit that was lost. Was I the one who signed for it? Yes. But it was not lost under my watch.
Mm-hmm.
So they said they're going to recommend a statement of charges.
Mm-hmm.
I sent in my rebuttal, which
is a photocopied picture of your hand giving you number one.
Which is I said no. So I sent in my rebuttal, which you wouldn't think about it when you hear me talk or when you look at me, but I sent in a very, very good rebuttal. And I only know that is because I sent it to someone to look at, and they're like, "Yeah, that's pretty good."
You paid someone to send in a rebuttal.
Okay, so I found a template online, but no.
Did you mention if the glove don't fit, they had to quit?
Well, now I feel like I'm going to get charged for it because I did not say that. But yeah, so I'm still going through a little something like that. What about yourself?
Well, yeah, I was affected multiple times, and again, I'm still going through it, even just off like. You never stop, right? Because when you join, the first person you meet when you sign up for the military is smiling usually, and that's your recruiter. And I've never heard someone actually say, "My recruiter was awesome." It's usually
I actually have them over for barbecues all the time.
Usually a year or so later you hear, "My recruiter fucked me," and that's where it starts. That's the introduction to the Big Green Weenie, and then it continues because once you leave service, it's usually the VA in some way fucking you, and whether it's a claim or I know multiple guys who received care for injuries at the VA and then were charged for that care that they received. I've had multiple friends do that.
Yep.
I was fucked one time. Sort of in a re-enlistment way,
Okay.
By the Big Green Weenie. I know Nick's back there laughing.
Yeah.
It's like child.
He's like a little 9-year-old. Every time we say weenie, he's laughing.
He says, "I got fucked one time."
This kind of coincides with that guy's re-enlistment or that lady's re-enlistment comment. So, in the Army now. Great movie, by the way.
It is a great movie.
One
of the most realistic.
One of the most realistic movies about Army life. But so when you re-enlist in the Army, your previous contract ceases to exist, and you start your new contract from that day over. So let's say like you sign up for a 4-year contract, you re-enlist at the 3-year mark, your last year goes away, and you start up with a new 4-year contract or whatever it is, right? So I left the Army and went over to the Air Force, and I received orders to go to Okinawa, Japan from my duty station in Washington, but I had to re-enlist for retainability. So I still had 2 years left on my contract, or like 18 months, 19 months on my contract. But it was a 3-year tour, so you had to have a minimum of like 4 years because you had to have 1 year to come back.
How they get
anyway, so I go to re-enlist, sign the paperwork, take everything done, go turn it in. They're like, all right, here's your new ETS date. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean that date? That's 2 years after. He goes, no, you re-enlisted. The Air Force tacks on to your existing contract.
The Air Force is like, what is it, singular, where they do the rollover minutes?
Yeah. they do not subtract your previous years from your I was livid because that is a big factor that I would not have possibly done.
Right.
Or I would have waited and figured out a different way to do it. So I was kind of fucked by the big blue weenie at that point with the re-enlistment thing. And it was all downhill from there.
Oh,
very frustrating. What's funny too is I've even seen people that get a good deal from the military, but then something bad happens during that good deal because the military itself looks at you and says,
never a good deal.
No, you cannot be happy. We're going to fuck you here.
No, it's never a good deal.
Yeah.
So I did find some real life stories about the Big Green. And are they funny to us? Yes. But are they a little depressing at the same time?
Of course.
Yes, they're very depressing.
But laughter's the best medicine.
It's easy to say when it's not you.
No.
So let me just go right through. When I was in holding platoon in MCA's New River, this dumbass said something along the lines of, damn it, the Big Green Weenie fucked me again. After he got told he had fire watch at some shitty time. Well, some disgruntled staff sergeant heard him say that and flipped his shit, chewed him out for not knowing what the Big Green Weenie truly is, and then gave the poor bastard duty for every Saturday till he left. So this is a whole new way for the Big Green Weenie to sneak up on you. First of all, how are you a staff sergeant and don't know what the Big Green Weenie is?
No, I don't think he was a staff sergeant. I think he said a staff sergeant heard him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the disgruntled staff sergeant heard him say that, and he flipped his shit because he chewed him out for he didn't know what the Big Green Weenie was.
Oh, I don't know.
Or unless the staff sergeant chewed him out because he's like, this is nothing.
This is not the Big Green Weenie.
Yeah.
I think that's what he meant. He's saying
so maybe this staff sergeant is the Big Green Weenie.
Or
you think
an agent of the Big Green Weenie.
You think the Big Green Weenie is like just a weird being that can mold into different things?
Kind of like the
and
Terminator
he just comes. What's that?
Kind of like Terminator 2000.
Exactly. He just comes into your life,
Sarah Connor,
fucks you, and then leaves.
I do. I also think a lot of movie references tonight, but on the TV the other day was the Adjustment Bureau with it's
a good one.
Matt Damon. But that's how it is. I think that's the Big Green Weenie. It's these agents behind everything that
true,
you really can't see,
but they're
there to make sure that the Big Green Weenie is enforced.
Yeah.
And it's like this was an agent that was like,
yeah.
Or this guy was not an agent, but an agent pushed him to do that. Made sure he was there at that right moment to hear it. And maybe this guy was the guy that was fucked over previously by the Big Green Weenie.
Exactly. You think that's
that's the Big Green Weenie?
Yeah,
let me show you something.
Yeah, I'll show you some.
So, I think that's what it is. Or it could be just someone behind the curtain. That's
just pulling the strings,
making it fucking happen.
So this last one is the biggest of the Green Weenies, I feel like. So a buddy of mine had been out for a year and a half and got recall orders.
Ooh.
That's not even the worst part. So dude reports to base admin, and they can't find him on any incoming roster. Come to find out, his orders were canceled and no one notified him. They go, since you're here, report to 19, which is 1st Battalion, 9th Marines. So he got recalled after being out for a year and a half. One weenie.
One weenie. The inactive ready reserve is itself
is a
weenie.
You're just sitting on a weenie the whole time.
Yeah.
So he got recalled. One weenie, right? So he reports to base admin, and they're like, "Oh, we can't find you anywhere.
You're actually not in."
Yeah. So.
But now you are.
Weenie comes out.
Yeah.
Right. Well, since you're here, we do have this open slot. insert weenie again.
And so do you. So here it is.
Yeah. That. Oh man.
Yeah, the stop loss whole thing. All that shit. Recall. Like it's. Did you hear about those guys that there was a unit? So when they changed the policy in Iraq from 12-month deployments to like 15-month deployments,
Yeah.
the first unit that had to do it was rotating home, and they'd already sent guys home. Like the Advon party had already been home. Then the orders changed that they were extended for 15 months. These guys had to leave home, come back to Iraq for another 3 months.
That's the worst.
That's an international Big Green Weenie.
Yeah, it doesn't have boundaries.
It doesn't have. See, that's the thing.
Doesn't
It
have
doesn't have
boundaries.
boundaries. It'll fuck you wherever you want.
Oh
Ugh.
man.
Really?
Yep.
Ugh.
It's not something that we enjoy, but I feel like it's something that we had to talk about.
You're absolutely right. It's actually good because it actually takes me to what I want to talk about tonight. I think the only group of people in the military that are impervious to the Big Green Weenie.
Warrant officers.
Correct. You knew that was coming, didn't
Yeah,
you?
as soon as yeah.
Now, for those of you that don't know what a warrant officer is, it's a mythical creature.
That's funny because we don't know either.
Yeah, because no one knows. It's a mythical creature. But they are what I like to call the funkles of the military, the fun uncles.
Yeah.
They have no real responsibility. They want to be cool to the kids.
Which is the enlisted.
Yep. And then they feed you full of popcorn and sugar and then hand you back to the parents, the officers. You can't tell me that I'm not wrong.
I couldn't have said it any better myself.
So it's funny because the only adult branch is the Air Force, and they don't have warrant officers. There's no warrant officers in the Air Force. So what a warrant officer is, for those of you listening, it's a specialty job in the Navy, the Army, and the Marine Corps. I think even the Coast Guard might have warrant officers.
Maybe.
They always follow along.
Yeah,
But the prior enlisted that are the subject matter experts for their job, and then they take a pseudo commission as a warrant officer, and they fall into another category for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and it's like a black hole of amazingness.
Yes, and they're only in limited jobs. So in the Army, and I can speak only for the Army really because I only interacted with warrant officers in the Army, and you.
I'm surprised you saw some.
I did. Aviation guy. Aviation only all the time. But I said you as a maintenance person, that's one of the career fields that warrant officers fall into, and they're typically a lot around.
There's a lot of them, yeah.
The shops, right? The shop chiefs and stuff. Yeah. And it's funny is they are so anti-military that their official title is not even a rank. It's Mr.
It really is. And it's funny you say that because none of the ones that I know in my career like to be saluted. Like they were
disdained it.
Hands in their pockets, like mustaches hanging over their lips. like the least they could go out into a bar and you'd never know they're military at all. But that's really not what they're paid for. They're paid for their expertise in their one field.
Mm-hmm. And then in the aviation community, because I was talking to my dad about this. My dad was a helicopter pilot, but he was a commissioned officer, and in the aviation world, they're there to be the continuity. Because as an officer, you have to go off and do like your staff time and your the Pentagon time and whatever. And the warrant officer continues to be there and flies and is like the safety officer, the maintenance officer, and just continuity. But it's funny you mentioned like the mustache. The pure disdain for regulations.
To me, every warrant officer, I just think of the Lorax. Yeah. He's there for the trees, and he fucking hates everything else.
That's it. He's like, this is it. I tried to. It's even funny is when you Google funny warrant officer stories or crazy warrant officer stories, the whole page comes up blank.
I was going to say because
they're just like the warrant officer. They're like, you cannot know these. But I did find some before my screen turned blank. I was able to pull them quickly. But they just really are a unique breed in the military, and some of their antics are just legendary. Like this guy says, I ran into a warrant in the DFAC once, so the dining facility.
Yep.
And he commented on my mustache. It was November, of course. He also had a mustache, which was way out of regs. So I asked him, sir, how do you get away with a mustache like that? He responded, pointing to his rank, and as he said, no one says anything to me about anything. And he walked away.
It's so true.
Because they
It's
live in
so-
this world, right?
Yeah.
Where they're not officers, they're not enlisted, they're the subject matter expert. Like, you can't, like, a platoon leader, right? Lieutenant colonel, or the battalion commander, squadron commander, whatever, is unhappy with that lieutenant colonel or that lieutenant, that platoon leader, he can fire him.
Yeah.
Fucking, you're fired.
You're
but
fired.
guess what? You can't fire the warrant officer, really, because there's really no one else there to take his spot.
Yeah, what are you gonna?
What are
you
gonna
can't
make one?
promote somebody. Yeah. You're just gonna go down to the PX and buy one. No, that doesn't how it works.
Exactly. And this is a funny one, because this one involves a Chief Warrant Officer 5.
Ooh.
Yes, which is the magical.
That's the unicorn.
That is the warrant officer
Yeah.
rank. So I saw a CW5 once. I was sitting at a bus stop on Cobb Adder, the one by the Air Force side, PX in the Green Bean, shamming my ass off. No battle buddy, even though I guess on Adder you're supposed to have one. Anyway, I sit down and there is a CW5 sitting there. I looked and I thought it was another fucking LT. Then I realized it was older than the LT age. So I looked at his rank. He laughed and said he gets that a lot. He took a sip of his coffee and he got on the bus. He got off just before my stop and I never saw him again. Yes, it was majestic. You could sense the lack of fucks given by him. The mustache was just the perfect salt and pepper mix. His hair was just long enough to be out of regs, but short enough you could tell he wasn't fucked with. Some say their coffee is young officers' tears when they find out a chief doesn't answer to them. So the warrant officer always referred to as
That's
chief.
such a beautiful story.
I know. Once they go to two.
Yep.
Yeah, they become
CW.
chiefs.
Yep.
So the allure of the warrant officer, though, is that they really don't give fucks, right? They don't give anything.
There's zero fucks to be given.
And this last story really
I might re-enlist just to become
be a
more.
warrant
Yeah,
officer?
this is great. Yeah,
just to do it.
This is great.
But this last one really tells the tale of what the warrant officer is.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you if you've got any, warrant officer stories that you want to bring to mind. Company commander puts out a date for an upcoming AFPT and tape test, the Army Physical Fitness Test. Company had 3 CW4s who showed up the day of the PT test, handed their score sheets to the top, the first sergeant, and then left before the PT test started. No questions asked. Top just told them to have a good day. The old platoon sergeant said he never saw them take a PT test the entire time they were there. I just thought I was thinking about just warrant officers in general, and I really do believe they are the Funkles of the military.
They're their own breed.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like I said before, they're paid for their expertise in a certain usually a very specific field, and
Yeah, because they're not in every career field.
no, they're not.
No.
And they know that they're all smart people. They know that if they're gone, then who's the expert?
And most of them have most of them were like in E6, E7, E8.
Yeah, you have
prior
to be at least
a certain-
E5, I think.
Yeah,
I think
unless you're in aviation, I think you can be like an E3. It's really low.
You have to get a
But-
waiver though. I
but
think.
pilots are different. They're their own
Yeah.
fucking breed. Yeah, it was just very, very funny.
That's good.
Yeah.
And
It's true,
going
though.
back to the other story, like a warrant officer 5, the rank they give them is so shitty. It's as far as like the view of it, because
It's
it does
like
look
3
like
bars.
it does look
Like
like a second
3,
lieutenant, but no, it's just one single
Well,
line.
it's the line and then the line in between that. So it's like 3.
Exactly.
yeah.
It's just like
It's like Lieutenant Bar cut in half.
exactly. It's so odd.
And then all the other ones are like just squares.
It's the square, which is the number of what
Yeah.
they are. Just add a 5th one, dude. Like what are we doing?
or
They're
make
like,
it bright fucking red.
Yeah,
Just
do something.
Just
Don't the Marines do that? Don't
They're
aren't
warrants-
they-
they're
they're
like
red,
red,
right?
yeah.
I never thought I'd say this in my entire life. Take after the Marines, Army.
change it.
Change it,
something
make
bright.
it-
Yeah.
If you don't want red, green,
Orange.
blue.
Something that stands out.
Yeah.
That they deserve
Black?
it.
Come
they
on.
deserve it. They deserve it.
They do
warrant
deserve
officer
it.
Deserves it. I have some fond memories of some pretty good chiefs that were all maintenance shop chiefs in the infantry battalions.
Yeah.
Some good
They're
dudes.
they're usually very down to earth. Like you can talk to them about anything, unless it's like an actual soldiering issue.
Yeah, unless it's like regulations. They don't
Yeah,
really
and
wanna-
then get the fuck out of my office. But yeah, if you're ever able to find one, they're like,
take a picture.
yeah, take a pic.
It's like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You don't really. It'll come out grainy. They'll like be. They might be blurred because they're walking away.
Yeah, people might think you're crazy.
Yeah, but if you ever, I mean, for me, my experience is if you ever suddenly smell heavy volumes of stale coffee, Copenhagen, and Marlboro cigarette smoke, and mustache wax, there might be a chief around.
Yeah.
So get that camera out.
Oh, where'd it go?
The Funkles of the military.
The Funkles.
Google warrant officer. See if you find a picture.
Yeah, I'm. If I Google it right now, I bet a lot of pictures would come back blank. I'm gonna do it.
Up.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah. So yeah, that was good. I really do believe that they're the only ones impervious to the Big Green Weenie, and I do not believe. I believe they're the anti-Big Green Weenie.
Oh, there's actually pictures of people that come up.
Yeah, but they're not really warrant officers.
That's disappointing. Yeah, I can't see their ranks, so they're not real. That was great. It brought back a lot of memories.
You see them out in the field, and it's like it really they do exist. It's
Yeah.
like the M&M commercials with Santa. Like you do exist.
And they're the ones that you can joke about that with them because they know exactly what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, deployments. Overseas, serving overseas.
Do you think Kuwait is a real deployment?
It depends. And if you're just in Kuwait, no.
I think
But
so.
but you, in a way, but I mean,
It's all relative, man.
I guess
It's fucking hot in Kuwait.
it's really fucking hot. But yeah, you know, stationed in Kuwait, missions into Iraq, in and out, whatever. But
Do you think Poland is deployment?
I
The Army now
I
says they're
mean-
deploying to Poland.
was gonna say if you're Germany in 1939.
I just read a stripper article about Poland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, a lieutenant colonel.
Wait, a stripper article?
Yeah, a lieutenant colonel got relieved because his executive officer, going back to aviation, there were probably a bunch of warrant officers around that caused this. His executive officer got drugged at a strip club and had $13,000 of charges rang up on his government credit
Oh,
card
goddamn.
in a deployment to Poland.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like it's justified.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I was just curious. I just wanted.
That-
I gauged your Kuwait answer by my next.
Yeah,
question.
so that sounds like a deployment story that would probably start with "No shit, there I was."
I'm coming from the north, from the south. You don't even know. I'm just like exploding into action.
Absolutely. In a strip club, drunk, drugged.
So I got a couple of stories of deployments. One's deployment, one is station in Korea, which I still think is
I mean, I consider that a deployment.
yeah, because I don't know if it's still the case, but a few years ago they started making families come back to the States.
Yeah, you
when,
couldn't-
when shit was
Well, even depending on your job, you can't take a family.
yeah.
Like my uncle was stationed in Korea, and he couldn't take his wife,
Yeah.
but he brought her over anyway, and he paid for like the apartment off base. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know,
It depends
but,
where
but
you're stationed.
right, but they
Korea.
they started sending
Yeah.
families back because our shit with Korea got really
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
But anyways,
Missiles and whatnot.
yeah. Anyways, we digress. So, first one is a deployment story.
Okay.
We had taken over a compound for the night in Afghanistan, and we're monitoring the radios, and one of the Terps, which is an interpreter, with one of the Terps. So we could hear them being the enemy,
The Taliban.
making plans to ambush or attack the following morning. So I'm chilling on the roof with the Terp on Overwatch, and the Terp translates, "Hey, they will be moving soon. Brother, do that crazy trick on them," is what the Taliban was saying. So word for word, what the interpreter said out loud. Maybe 5 minutes later, we hear/see A moderate explosion about a kilometer away. Radio starts going crazy. The terp confirms that the guy ended up blowing himself up. Best trick I ever saw. The one-liner at the end killed me, dude. So, what are your thoughts on that one?
It's that karma thing we talked about in the previous episode.
Yeah, you remember that?
That's amazing, right? Like
Yeah.
when you get those little types of wins for the good guys, they're great. You saw I responded in Iraq to a suicide bomber that went off a little too early. And the only thing...
It's kind of fucked up that we're laughing at that, but
you know what? It's
yeah.
like, well, I feel, like, hey, okay, this is what he wanted to do in life. He exceeded that, right? He did that. But he just only got to take care of himself.
When I read this story, I immediately thought about a school for terrorists, and this guy was bottom of the class. He just barely passed.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, just make him go, just blow something up real quick, okay?
Just send him go.
And so he's like, okay, this is my moment. I'm going to make them eat their words,
Yeah.
And he fucked it up.
Yeah, or it's like...
He fucked it up.
Don't press the big red button. What?
Yeah. Big red button.
I am Groot.
But I mean, this is...
This is also, like... I will, like, I'm, like, everyone thinks that, I mean, not everyone, obviously, but...
Every single person I know.
But these guys that we're fighting, they are smart, right? But not every one of them.
Not this guy.
Some of them are the biggest idiots that just don't understand how things work, like explosives.
Well,
and cigarette smoking.
Right. There's the smart ones that that make the explosives, that have the plans, that do all these things, and then there's these guys that they try to make them implement these plans and activate these explosives that they make, and they don't know what they're doing. Obviously.
It is 100% true, though. We did hear, like, we would have conversations with them on the radios. Like, our terps they'd be listening and they'd be like, tell them this. And they'd say stuff back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
And then our A&A, like our commandos and stuff, would do that too. Like, they'd talk back and forth. And it's just funny because they're like, we're going to attack you and kill all of you now. And we're like, okay, come on.
We're right here.
We'll leave the door open. Like, well, not today.
I picture this guy. He's got the smart guy with him. He's like, okay, this is what you got to do, buddy. So when they're coming over, you flip over this latch, okay? Yeah. You flip this switch up, and then you push the button. Okay. And the guy's like, okay, so I flip over this latch, and he's doing it all. He's like, okay, I flip this switch, he flips the switch, and he's like, I push his button, and then he blows up.
The only thing else I can think of is, like, the guy that was videoing it was probably like, I had the lens cap on. Can we do that again? I didn't get the lens cap on. Because they love to video that shit, too.
They do. They're all about the propaganda.
Yeah, all about the propaganda.
Oh, boy.
It's a good one. I like it.
You ready for a drinking story in Korea?
Yeah, because I got a few of those myself.
Okay. Osan Air Force Base in Korea at Tent City. There I was, sitting on the couch in the rec building, drinking and talking to buds at 2 a.m. In the back door walks in a dude none of us recognize at all. He has an unwavering stare and a goofy smile that made him look like a grown man with autism.
Is he a warrant officer?
Probably hammered. He could be. He makes his way towards us, walking slowly, holding something. He gets within feet of us and says, "Look at my new friend." And he opens his hand to reveal a motionless bird with its neck snapped around and blood on his fingers. We just stared at him speechless as he explains his new friend is shy and wouldn't play nice, speaking slowly and getting angry as he goes. We don't say a word to him, completely unsure of what to say or do. He just stares with that creepy-ass smile for about 10 minutes, or for 10 more seconds before he backs up and walks outside into the night. We were unsure of what we saw was real, so we just went to the bed. We just went to bed from there.
One bed.
We all just went to one bed.
Hi, Jon Boy.
I told you I can't read, man.
That's cool.
That's why we started this, so I could practice my reading.
West reference. They all slept in one bed.
So we just went to bed from there, but when we came back in the morning, we looked out the door. There was a bunch of feathers and a little and a little bird blood. I don't know how they knew it was bird blood. I'm assuming it's also red like human blood.
Probably.
Maybe
My head.
they probably tasted it.
Bird flu.
I shit you not, never saw him or his friend again. So maybe it was a warrant officer.
It's magical. Now listen, I'm gonna preface this.
Okay. Preface it.
Osan's a hell of a place. All right. Now, I felt bad for these guys. They're clearly Army, because they were living in Tent City. When I went to Osan several times, stayed in the hotel.
4-star.
Stayed in the hotel. Had my own room. Okay, at the lodging on base. It was great.
There's nobody walking in with their little friends
No.
into that hotel room.
Nope. But man, it's just fucked up that the dude killed a bird.
Yeah, what
And
a
just-
weird story.
Yeah, weird. But
Yeah.
that's the kind of shit that happens in Osan that you just,
Why?
I don't know.
What don't they put in the water in Osan, Korea?
Well, you don't have water for one. They have
Well,
this.
that's probably it.
y-
They're all dehydrated.
They
They're all
have this
fucked
stuff
up.
called soju, and it's Korean.
Is that like Korean rippets?
It's Korean moonshine. You put it with
okay.
Korean rippets.
Oh, nice.
And what you do is you drink things called kettles. And they have these big old fucking brass tea kettles, and they'll fill it with ice, and they'll dump bottles of soju in it, and then they'll dump bottles of like Korean Sprite energy drink, and then you pour shots of it. Oh, Jesus. Beer down. And we're good. We're all
Don't
set.
do it.
And I was like, ugh, I just opened it.
If I was getting animated.
I know. But they, and the stuff like glows in the clubs, and you just do shots, and you just drink these, and you drink it with dinner, and you drink it with at the club, and it just, the nights blur together, man. It's so fucking wild outside Osan.
That's so nuts.
Then it's like times 10 when you go to Seoul. We saw Jesus. He was Korean Jesus, but we saw him in Seoul one time, and
Was he walking on water?
it was a puddle, but it was in a back alleyway because we were also
something.
avoiding the curfew patrols that happened in Korea.
And Jesus is like,
Yeah.
follow me, guys.
And I mean, in hindsight, I mean, this is so. We said that there were no warrant officers in the Air Force. However, I was with a bunch of very young Air Force helicopter pilot captains, which are the equivalent of warrant officers, because no one joins the Air Force to fly helicopters. Let's just right. But then
Except
these
those
guys
guys.
do.
Yeah.
And that's all they do is fly rescue helicopters.
Are the ones that fly helicopters the ones that failed, like the fixed wing schooled?
Oh no! They have because they have to graduate fixed wing school first.
Oh, no shit.
Then go to the helicopter.
Wow.
These are the guys that are
That
like.
sounds backwards to me.
I know everyone in the rescue helicopter pilots in the Air Force are like, I don't want to fly fast. I want to fly like stupid low and get shot at. That's what I want. Great dudes, love them. But I was.
I feel like we say that a lot after his stuff. Great guy.
But I was with a bunch of those guys, right? And then all of a sudden, there's Korean Jesus telling us about like Christianity and all these things. And we're in the back alleyway. All we wanted to do was to get to Korean McDonald's across the street from the hotel and avoid the curfew patrol. But again, I digress. Back to Osan, right? Back to outside of Osan. That's the first time I ever had the meat sweats. Because have you ever had Korean barbecue?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
It is amazing, right?
Bulgogi.
Yeah.
Bulgogi?
Bulgogi.
Yeah. Oh my
as long As
God.
you eat
So good.
K-golgi, you're fine. That's dog. But bulgogi is beef. But
So good.
they had all you can eat Korean barbecue places where you just go get it. You just go get it and
Yeah.
throw it up. Dude, meat sweats, big time. Drinking soju. Fucking. That's how I cracked this back molar was in Osan.
Oh my God.
Because
We're really getting into Bobby's life right now.
going
guys.
downstairs into this club where they
Yeah.
play the drill song, like concrete stairs. There was a sign. I went to like Rudy it, missed the sign, flew down a set of concrete stairs, cracked my back molar, broke a titanium dive watch,
Oh, man.
smashed my face up, and had to go on operations the next day. Still made it.
Yeah, you can't call him sick.
Yeah, because I played like a champion, right?
Yeah.
But Osan, dude, amazing.
Wow.
Amazing
So,
time. Amazing time. This is
So
oh man, fight stories in Osan. I could tell-
never having gone to Osan. Now I want to go, like just for vacation. I think it sounds fucking great.
That's also how I got one of my other call signs of circus was from Osan. That's another story later, though.
Yeah, we'll tell that one a little later on. But so this isn't
Uncommon?
that out of place for
No.
that then.
No. I Yeah, no, it's not.
Wow. I never thought you'd be at a loss for words.
Yeah,
But
Osan, dude.
here you
it's,
are.
Oh man, it's one of my great buddies, Denny, was stationed there too. Osan, dude. It's a hell of a place. I went there. So I was stationed in Japan,
Mhm.
and we had like one of our contingencies was to go if bad shit ever happened in Korea, we'd have to go help support.
Yeah.
And so we'd go there all the time to train. We'd integrate with. They had an A-10 squadron there, and we had the 60s, the rescue helicopters in Japan. We would just like integrate all our operations. But I went there one time to teach a combatives course in a basketball gym, or in a racquetball court in the back of a basketball gym, to a bunch of guys to get them qualified. Ended up giving the chief master sergeant of SEER operations in the Pacific Air Force theater a black eye.
Good.
Because he had to achieve the clinch, and he
Well deserved.
kept his fucking hands down, and I gave him a black eye. I still fuck with him about that today. But then we had to go out later that night. It was great. Oh, Osan, man. What a great place. Anyway,
Wow.
I could never go back there.
I want to go there now.
That is...
So I just said I want to re-enlist, become a warrant officer. No, I want to re-enlist to go to Osan now.
Well, see, that's the problem. Is it was an Air Force base, right? So a lot of Army folk. That's how great it was. Army folk would come down from their bases
Yeah.
to like R&R at Osan. They'd be
that's
like,
perfect.
they'd get like a weekend pass, and they're like, "We rented rooms at the Osan Hotel." Meanwhile, I'm there TDY, getting paid extra.
Well, guys, we've had a good run for the podcast, but I'm going to re-enlist now to go to Osan.
Straight to Osan. Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
So yeah, that was no shit. There I was.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I feel. You know what? I'm gonna write this down because I feel like
Please do.
Korea stories are a plethora of untouched.
You can call it Korean barbecue.
We could. And my dad was in Korea. My brother's been to Korea. My uncle was in Korea. We're gonna do a little family. I'm very soon.
A
I'm
little Carlton family history.
Yeah, I'm heading out to the old homestead out west very soon.
Oh, yeah?
My nephew is actually graduating college and commissioning as a lieutenant. What an idiot!
What a nerd.
What an idiot!
Army, Air Force.
Army Field Artillery. Actually, he's military intelligence, but branched field artillery for the first 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah. This guy gets assigned to Savannah, Georgia, as his first duty station.
Sounds pretty sweet to me.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's one of the most haunted cities in America.
It is. I like haunted cities too.
Yeah, me
just
too.
in New Orleans, a lot of ghosts there too, and guys peeing on where the Louisiana Purchase was. That's a story for another day. Yeah, Korean barbecue.
All right then.
I like that. Good one, John.
Yeah.
That's a untapped resource.
Hmm.
And you know what? I think it's time for a little mail call.
I think it is as well.
And this mail call actually involves nighttime partying.
Wow.
So this came in from Checked Anonymous. Some of our favorite ones come from that because they're a little more, as you would like to use the word, randy.
Well, yeah, because when you're behind the curtain, per se, it's a little easier to express yourself.
Mm-hmm. And you might have a little, you might have a reputation that you want to uphold. So
Yeah, you might have a family that you don't want to leave you.
You don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want any warrants out for your arrest.
So this one is actually an interesting one because I learned some stuff from it too. It delves into the mythical world of the Military Service Academy.
Oh,
Yeah, interesting, right? Like
yeah,
college experience, but not a college experience.
yeah. It's
Bizarre.
I would say it's less of a college experience than it is a college.
But it's like.
I would say it's like the Academy in Mighty Ducks D3.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. That's a fair statement.
Minus.
But the hockey. Well.
No,
yeah.
there is hockey.
Yeah. Well, some of them.
Minus the socialization.
Socializing.
Socializing. That's the one.
But what's good is, I mean, you graduate a service academy, you have that for life, right? Like that's a prestigious thing, just
right,
like Harvard.
Yeah, it's like a
Harvard,
badge of
but not-
honor
or
type of thing. Yeah.
It's like Ivy League, but not going to an Ivy League. It's
Yeah.
going to an Ivy League, but getting yelled at to go to an Ivy League.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the shit they do at
And-
service academies,
Yeah.
they would go to jail for it.
And
in
then the
Ivy
Ivy League still thumbs their nose at you. Yeah.
So, right off the bat, so in case you're not familiar with the rules at service academies, and I'm not.
I'm not,
gonna
so
lie.
I'm glad they.
Basically,
they
you're pretty
defined it.
much confined to campus with limited exceptions throughout the course of the academic year in your freshman year, which does not sound like the general college experience.
No, it sounds like the exact opposite of the general college.
Because I
experience.
never went to college. However, I did pretend I was in college at colleges, and I
pretended I've been
experienced
at college, yeah.
I experienced multiple
Both
freshman years.
before I should have been at college and after I should have been at college. Yeah. I got no shame.
It doesn't work
I
for
don't
me
give a fuck.
now, but I do tell them I'm a professor sometimes, and that really works.
I don't.
And as you progress, you earn more and more privileges in the later years at the academies. Under normal circumstances, I want to say freshmen get 1 weekend a semester where they can leave. Sophomores 2, juniors 4, seniors. Senior year, you can get pretty much every weekend that doesn't have scheduled events for you to complete. So one option for underclassmen to get away from the campus when they aren't competing on one of the teams, because that is a thing. Like sports, you get to go travel and you get a little different lifestyle.
Yeah, because they still have, Division One.
Yeah. Really high-end Division One
very,
sports as well.
Very competitive.
Is to go to and support the team at a home game in exchange for a few hours of liberty. So in September of 2004, I took advantage of this option to celebrate my birthday weekend at my aunt and uncle's place in Connecticut during the Army-Yukon football game. And Army football is a pretty big deal, too. Air Force football is a pretty big. Air Force Academy football is a pretty big deal, too.
Yeah.
So,
Army Air Force game is huge.
Yeah, as is Army.
Where do you side, sir?
Ooh, so the Army Air Force game, I'm smack dab in the middle and cheer for whoever's winning.
Nope.
But the Army Navy game is the one I'm really concerned with because Sink Navy, go Army, all the time.
Fair enough.
After class on Friday night, I want to say it was like 7 o'clock or 1900 for you military.
You can tell he's been a civilian for a long time.
Or so by that time I got there. And I was also surprised to find that the older of my two cousins was also home from the 82nd Airborne that weekend. So, first of all, it's going to be a good night because your cousin's a paratrooper.
82nd.
Yeah. A few hours later, we'd already finished dinner. We're finishing dinner. He decided that during our adventures that night, we should hit up a Packy store. So, obviously, he's a...
liquor store for people who aren't in the New
England area.
Yeah.
A package store, a Packy.
Yeah.
Packy. Unfortunately, by that time, it was past closing in Connecticut, so like 6 o'clock. So he decided we should
4:30.
So we should shoot up I-91 and stop at one in Springfield, Mass. Well, first of all, don't go to Springfield.
Ever. Yep.
If you do, be packing some heat.
If you do, just don't.
Yeah, where he was originally from, knowing they were still open in Mass for a little bit longer, because they're always open in Springfield. When he got out of the car in the parking lot...
So mad about Springfield.
Because it's not the real Springfield. That's the Simpsons Springfield. Yeah.
It's not where they're
How dare you? The car in the parking lot, two girls not much younger than me approached, so 18-ish, with the proposition. And it gets lewd here, people. I'm going to say that. But I also...
You're allowed to say stuff like this.
I know, but I can't say it without doing it like the voice from the guy in the gangster movie knockoff fake one.
Don't drink gin and juice in the hood. Whatever.
You know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So he says, or she says, "We'll suck your dick if you get us beer." After declining their offer, which I like, because he's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to decline that." After declining their offer,
I would have heard him out at least.
Yeah, they then turned to my non-military cousin with the same proposition. He laughed at them and also said that he couldn't get them beer, because they're underage. Finally, the two high school girls turned to the oldest of us, my cousin from the 82nd, who immediately let them do... No, I'm just kidding. That's not...
He already had his pants down on the ground.
Because he's a paratrooper. No, from my cousin in the 82nd, and made the same offer to him. He quickly told them that he would not be purchasing them alcohol after watching them make the same offer to both of his younger brother and cousin. So checked Anonymous. First off, great story, great storytelling.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I'm a little disappointed in all three of you. What is underage? Under 21? Above 18?
I mean, I don't know, but the military stays it's 18. Like, you fall under UCMJ. So the one that really couldn't do anything or get in trouble was the cousin that wasn't in the military or the service academy.
Yeah, but they didn't know they were in the military.
He could also couldn't buy beer.
I guess that shows everyone where my mind's at.
I know. It's a funny story because this kind of stuff happens all the time when you go home on leave as a younger enlisted guy, because you go back out with your friends from high school that haven't left,
that still do that
hood rat shit, right? And it happens all the time. Like, I remember I got in a fight with Chinese gangsters with my friends.
That's what I did in high school too. That's
It
weird.
just
Yeah, it's
happened. It was
crazy.
a triad. It was a big deal.
Who
But
doesn't?
it happens all the time. And I remember when I was like an E1 or E2, E3, going back home on leave. They're like, I got a job. I'm on leave, and you're like, what's up, guys?
It's not even I got a job. It's like I have a career, a lifestyle, a life that if I do the shit that you guys still do, I could get fucked for life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but I still want to do that stuff. So let's go do that.
I still really want to do it with you guys.
Yeah. And it's funny because that is another part of it too. It's like you go home from leave. You're still in the military, but you have this like whole other family, like your friends and family that were not in the military. They're still there doing that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's just funny dynamic because you probably have a high and tight.
Yeah, because
dog tags.
it happens to everyone, but I never really thought about it before because it's your friends and family. You're just going back and doing what you're doing. But you do have to keep in the back of your mind, hey, like I have
things will follow me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like STDs, they will follow you.
They do. They make pills for most of them now.
Not the ones
pills
you
and
get. Not the ones
shots.
you get in Osan. I'm just kidding.
Osan stays for life, everybody.
But that's a good one.
Anonymous.
I appreciate that.
Thank
one.
you, sir.
Checked Anonymous. Thank you for that, and thank you for your service.
Yes.
Well, that's it.
Be a little more open-minded next time, buddy.
That's it. Mail call. Done.
Mail call.
Episode 8.
In the books.
Or in the book, as we like to call it here at the Behind the Boots podcast.
Oh. I have a library of books.
Yeah, but you said last week, you're like, why do you call it books? Why didn't you call it book? Because it's done in the book.
Yeah, I did say that last week.
You did.
I'm very hypocritical.
Yeah. It's one thing I've always said about you.
Yep. I usually like to say one thing and do the other. That's what a lot of people like to say.
As we wind this thing down, I will say one thing we asked last week, if my memory serves correct, is we're looking for a name.
2 weeks ago is
when
we initiated it. Yeah.
So we're looking for a name for
you guys.
For you guys.
Yeah.
The Bootsies, if we will. For now.
Hey,
if you don't fucking speak up,
if you
guess
don't speak
what?
up, you're going to be the Bootsies. And I don't even like to hear it or say it.
No.
So,
but I will do it because you didn't speak up.
But I'll do it as a punishment to you.
Chucko wrote in to me. He said, "What about the Land of Misfit Toys?" which is a good way to
call them the Misfit Toys. Yeah,
which is a really good way to broaden that. I said, "Well, does that roll off the tongue?" He goes, "No, but Fuck Sticks does." I was like, "Well done, Chucko." So you're getting some stickers sent to you for that one.
I like
now
that.
We're gonna put that up in the possible category.
Yep. That might turn off our non-military listeners.
Yeah, that's true. But for those of you that are hardcore, you are in the land of misfit toys, and we appreciate you.
Yeah. So I like that.
Yes,
that
the ball sack in the mouth. That wouldn't turn off non-military.
Well, that's transferable. That's either
fair.
civilian or military.
That's right. We can talk about people sucking balls to see a penis.
Well, actually, if you back
can't-
off, we didn't confirm that it was actually sucked balls. It was just the balls were in the mouth, or ball was in the mouth. I still have questions on this. I've diagrammed it outside. I'm like looking at how it
I'll tell you
happened.
what, I'd like to see that.
I wasn't the only. No, you wouldn't. I was the
Yes.
I wasn't the only person. I had multiple people that said, "Yeah, we were with you. We were wondering what the dynamic was at this moment."
I just think it's so funny how you just immediately go to the logistics of the situation, you know? Anyways, we digress. Thank you guys for listening.
I appreciate
Thank you.
all 10s of you.
Thank you, as always, to Big Dick Nick and Wilco Media. We love you. We appreciate everything you do.
The unsung hero of this podcast who's piping in more and more, and we like it.
And so we ask this every week. Submit your stories, right? We want to hear your stories. We know you guys have a ton of them. Just send them in. If you have suggestions for the show or whatever, send them in to wilcomediapro.com/BTB podcast. And
if you have a story too that's not even just like you don't want it to go to mail call, but you're like, hey, I heard your no shit there it was segment.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Like your Big Green Weenie or Officer's Quarter, whatever it is. Like you'd be like, hey, you could use this for this, and it helps generate conversation for us.
Yep. Which in turn will make a better show for you guys. So little bit of typing on your end will will please your ear holes.
The masses.
Yep. So thanks, guys, for listening. We'll see you next week.
Have a great night.